Hello everyone, this is Door to Darkness, and today we are continuing the belated reviews of Doctor Who Series 11, and we're actually getting through these somehow. We might even be caught up by next week. Let's see. And it's episode 5, and it's the midpoint of the series. We're here with an episode that seems to exist largely to make people mispronounce the title. We've got the Tsuranga Conundrum. This episode does feel rather inspired by a kind of late 60s Base Under Siege type story, which, I mean, it's fair, you know, we've got the historicals that are kind of like early 60s stuff, and then we've got a Base Under Siege stuff that feels like it could be a Patrick Troughton story. We've got a small cast in an enclosed area, and they need to survive against insert weekly monster here, and it's alright. One thing this episode does do well, it builds up a sense of hopelessness and impending doom. It makes it feel like there is no way out of the situation until the Doctor works their multiple problems against each other, which is a very good Doctor-y thing to do. And that is really the strength of this episode, and that is the Doctor. She isn't nearly as over the top or annoying as she was last week. She's still kind of excitable and, you know, kind of energetic and everything, which, I mean, that's not the problem. It was just the way she was written in the previous episode was quite bad. And her intelligence really does shine through in this episode too. The resolution, as I said, was really good. We've got a potential bomb that's going to blow up, plus a creature that consumes energy. Both very big problems isolated, but put them together and the creature is filled up by the bomb. Fine. She certainly does well in taking charge of the situation too, but I feel like having the characters literally comment on the fact that they're letting this random woman just show up and take control, it's a little bit on the nose, but I mean, it's not too bad. And this is more of the Doctor that I want to see. She's the centre of attention, but because she has to be, not because she has to make random quips about Ed Sheeran. She's got technical and intelligent solutions to the problems. Once again though, we do have her mainly working with Yaz, while Ryan and Graham go off doing something different, which, I mean, is basically there just to get them out of the way. However, I'm going to say I liked Yaz a bit more in this episode. She's fun and strong enough, and I could actually get behind her. The supporting cast is also pretty good in this story. It's, you know, obviously things lack depth because this is the nature of having single episode stories. It's very rare you're going to end up with a really good and well developed cast that's not in a two-parter or more, which is why I was a bit disappointed when they said there weren't going to be any two-parters this series at all. But the Cicero subplot was quite good. It certainly feels like the most well written, and it's certainly the one that has the biggest impact on the plot. I like the character of Eve. She's a pilot who medically shouldn't really be flying anymore, but her passion is flying, so she keeps doing it more and more and kind of finds band-aid fixes that are in a way making her worse to just keep pouring everything into it, which, I mean, I'm sure that's a relatable thing for lots of people with professions that they're passionate about, that they almost kill themselves trying to present their passion to the world and all that. Her brother, meanwhile, isn't anything special. You know, he's trying to find out what's really wrong with her, and then he eventually finds out, and he supports her decision to fly the ship to save everyone, despite the fact it's going to kill her in the end. It's a nice story arc that's put together, and it just wraps up quite nicely, but, you know, modern series producers don't seem to like giving stories room to breathe, so it is what it is. And then we've got Yos, the pregnant man. What is the point of this subplot? It doesn't really go anywhere. It's basically this guy is pregnant and he has a baby, and that's it. Apart from, you know, the whole I'm not ready to be a dad and all that kind of thing, which it's fine, but it's just there. It doesn't impact the plot at all. It seems to serve no purpose apart from moving Ryan and Graham away from the Doctor so she can do her own thing, because she and Yaz were actually making meaningful contributions to the plot and they couldn't let Ryan and Graham do that as well. And it does sort of epitomise the problem of having a large recurring cast but sticking stubbornly to single 50-minute episodes. Normally, you know, you only need a couple of characters at a time, so you end up coming up with really contrived ways for others to not feel useless. As for the thing itself, it's fine. I mean, an alien man being pregnant is okay as a, oh, well that's a bit different kind of thing. It just ends up being the butt of jokes throughout the episode, so the characters can look at each other and go, wow, that's weird. And it doesn't seem to serve any purpose other than that. So, yeah, that's just kind of there. Meanwhile, the Pating, the creature that's the problem here, as I was watching the episode, I was like, this is the threat? What the hell are they doing? But as I think, it works quite well. I actually quite like it. It's not an outright villain, it's just a creature that's doing its thing. It's trying to survive, living off energy. The idea of something that does that, so it's not attacking any of the inhabitants, it's just destroying the ship because it has to, it's a pretty good idea. I like it. And I mean, you know, design-wise, it kind of looks like Stitch. It's fun, and yeah, I actually think that this works a lot better than I gave it credit for when I first watched the story. It works well while still looking a bit silly, which I guess is the whole point of Doctor Who villains. I mean, look at the Daleks. So all in all, I like a lot of the things that go into this episode, in particular the feeling of hopelessness and dread that's built up with the ticking clock towards their death, kind of reminding me a bit of Chris Chibnall's first Doctor Who episode, 42. Though this one doesn't literally have a clock, thankfully. Like that though, a lot of the elements do feel rushed and thrown together, but this does at least have one subplot that stands up and is good. And it does just make me more frustrated that they didn't at least up the episode length to an hour, which they did for the first episode and then not for the rest, because 5 minutes doesn't make that much difference. 15 minutes you could actually get a bit more room to do stuff. So it kind of averages out at just being decent but unremarkable, which is kind of the whole series up to this point, apart from Rosa. So I'm gonna say I'm still a bit concerned with Chris Chibnall, because basically all of his Doctor Who stories before this series were okay and forgettable. And that's how all 4 of the episodes that he's written for this series have been as well. I know he had the co-writing credit on Rosa, but when the showrunner co-writes something with someone else, I tend to think that they just kind of helped out in a couple of scenes or something like that, and the other person was the main writer. But hopefully this is a role he's going to grow into. Because otherwise I'm concerned that well-crafted but not particularly creative episodes are just going to be the norm of his era of showrunner. So that's all I have to say about the Tsuranga Conundrum. What did you think of it? Please tell me in the comment section below the video. And while you're down there, please like this video if you did. And if you liked it, then check out my other videos and subscribe to this channel. And as always, thank you for watching.